because when I was writing a postcolonial novel, Mansfield Park kept coming up, and Edward Said's essay that he wrote about Mansfield Park and Jane Austen, and did she, what were her thoughts about the whole concept of slavery in Mansfield Park, because that is where the Bertrams from their sugar plantations get their money. And in Unmarriageable, I very consciously made sure to address that question, or at least bring it up with Edward Said and the essay and what it means. I at one point in Unmarriageable, I think one of the characters asks, who does Austen belong to, or does she belong to everyone? A colonial Austen, a post-colonial Austen, a British Austen, a Pakistani Austen, Edward Said's Austen. Who is this writer who everyone is able to claim or dissect or whatnot in their own ways? But for me, I know there is a lot of scholarship and argument about on what side of history was Austen, and was she for or was she against? And I'll tell you how I grapple through that. Since I mentioned these things, I could choose not to have mentioned them, right? But the reason I mentioned them is because these troubling aspects of culture exist and are very much prevalent in the lives of these women. Do I have to write essays and pages about them? No, because that is not the novel that I'm writing. I'm sticking to Austen's light, bright, and sparkling. Therefore, in terms of Mansfield Park, for me, the fact that Austen makes it a point to bring up slavery, to have Fanny ask that, and she doesn't answer it, but the fact that she brings it up to me says that it was very much on Austen's mind. She was obviously very familiar with what was going on and what wasn't, and she made it a point, because she didn't have to. Like me, I made it a point to bring up acid, etc. Austen didn't have to do that, but she did do that. Sometimes, as a writer or the work that you're writing, you don't have to, or you may not think this is the correct story in which to give pages to something, but the fact that you just mention something shows that you are very aware of what is happening. And you don't have, in Unmarriageable, I don't say that when my Mr. Collins, Mr. Colleen says, oh, at least I didn't throw acid on Elizabeth Alice's face. I don't have to then say, and this was a bad thing to do. This is not a good thing to do. The reader knows by my tone that I've used, by everything, that this is not a good thing. And I feel in terms of Mansfield Park, by Austen mentioning these things, she very much knew on what side of history she was writing. And the fact that she does bring it up at all gives her work a lot more gravitas across the board than not.